Yo, what's up? So before I start this episode, I want to bring up two really good friends of mine that I've met along the way. They've been the backbone and really the biggest supporters of this podcast since day one. Everything visually you see with this podcast has been done by Wither Designs and Benny Bones Art, and it could be your band next. Check them out on social media, get yourself something unique and original, and yeah, let's do this. It's been a while, but it's time for another episode, and we've got the almighty Thomas, the podcaster, the screamer, the man in Mork. What's up?
All good, man. I didn't catch your name, by the way. What's your name?
It's John.
John. Nice to
Yeah.
meet you, John. All is good over here. I'm sitting in my brand new studio over here in Halden, Norway, and just enjoying the view now as it's still fresh.
Yeah, exactly. Um so really like the first thing I wanted to start off with is your podcast, man. Like I'm kind of curious as to how the transition between, being like a frontman to a podcaster, how that, was it an easy experience or was it hard, and what have you learned from it?
The first concern when decided to do it was basically will I be able to have a long form kind of podcast? Will it just be 15 minutes and then I'm out of breath and words, or how will it be? Because I kind of dove in the deep end in a way, because the reason why I did the podcast is because I'm a big fan of obviously Joe Rogan, and
Yeah,
he
man.
he's going on for like 3 4 hours at the tops. And the same about I've been listening a lot to Mark Maron's podcast actually, and they are all long form podcasts. So that is what I wanted to do, and when I first made my first episode, I think it was like, I don't know, 50 minutes, 20 minutes, when I was like semi drunk, sitting around and just gabbing alone. And I think the next one was maybe a bit longer, and then my first long one was obviously when I had the guests over. And I don't know, I have surprised myself that I am able to host a podcast and have a conversation going, and that's a great relief, because I've been doing this for over a year now, and the guests are awesome, and the conversations are great, and this it seems like people are listening in too, and that's just a great gift on top of it all.
Right. I think the one of the greatest things that I've heard is like, so when you check your stats, I don't know what program you use for your podcast, but you can check your stats and it shows like where the people are listening all over the world, and like to me that just is mind blowing. Like something that you and I might have started. Um, like I get listeners from Europe, and I'm like, whoa, man! Like what the hell? Like it's
Yeah,
just mind blowing.
yeah, music is a universal language. That's a cliche thing to say, but it's the truth. And I don't follow a lot of stats because I'm not that big into technicalities, but I do
Right.
follow the YouTube version of the podcasts, which is quite easy for me to follow. And you can easily see the views and stuff, and the followers you are getting there. But the podcast is also available on the Spotify's and Apple Podcasts and all that. But I have no idea what's going on over there. I
Yeah,
only
that's
know
actually where I listen to your podcast.
which
Spotify.
one. Spotify.
Spotify. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. No, I only the reason why I think it's going quite good is that people are giving me feedback via Mork's Instagram and stuff like that, and tagging, and keep it up, guys. I see it, and it's an inspiration to go on.
Right. Um. So the one thing I want to say about Joe Rogan, man, I don't know
Yeah.
if you listened to one episode where him and James Hetfield of Metallica talk about bees for literally an hour.
Yeah, beekeeping, sure.
Yeah, did you listen to that one?
I loved that episode. You know what? That episode in particular has to be one of the catalysts for me doing this, because it's two people like myself. I'm a black metal musician, and the ones I talk to are black metal musicians. But we both of us are humans, you know, and we can share a lot of different experiences and views, you know, and not only the music. And that is what that kind of triggered me, is that Hetfield conversation with Joe over
That's what
there.
I mean, like, it was just so, like, out of touch, you know what I mean? Like, but it was like, I remember I was talking to somebody, about it, and they're like, "Why would you wanna spend, an hour listening to James Hetfield talk about, like, bees?" You know? Like, but then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, It's not all about the music, man." Like, I don't know. Like, me and you look at things differently. Like,
I
I can already
suppose so.
tell. Um, but like a casual listener, just a normal Joe, they'd just be like, "Why would you do that?" You know what I mean? Like,
I don't get that point of view at all, you know. That's just foreign to me, because it's interesting. They are people, you know, and that's the interesting part, and that's what makes podcasts a great thing, because you can just talk. And to me, as a podcast listener, I tend to listen to podcasts when I'm either driving my car for long distances, you know, or just walking around the house doing regular chores with it on my AirPods, you know,
yeah.
and having a cup of coffee. And it's just I just enjoy having a conversation in the air, you know. And I don't know, it's a perfect format for me.
Yeah, I wanted to point out, so the first episode I listened, with you and Gall. So I've talked to Gall, and he is one of, like, the most, laid back human beings that I've talked to. I mean, like, when people think of Gall, they think of, like, this evil, evil dude. And I'm talking to this guy, and he's, like, the nicest person ever. Like, and I think for you doing it in person, that brings it to a whole another level, you know?
He actually surprised me a whole lot, because I didn't really know that guy before I met him that weekend.
Yeah,
I've said
yeah.
hi here and there, you know, because Norway is not a big place, as you know, and the black metal scene is not that big. But he actually he accepted my invitation to do a podcast a bit on the fly, actually, because I flew to Bergen. When was this? January or February last? This year, actually. And I was supposed to do a podcast with Abbath, you know, Olve,
Yeah.
and but he canceled last minute. And I
Oh
was sitting
man.
there, and I had another podcast date the day after with Jannicke Wiese Hansen, the tattoo artist, and the girl who made the Bursum drawings, you know.
Mhm.
And she knows all the guys in Bergen, and she was like, "No, I can like check with Christian or Gal if he's up for it." And he was sitting in his all own art gallery, you know, and having wine and stuff. And we just went over there, me and my girlfriend, and just put up the microphones, and the conversation was amazing. But he kind of took me a bit by surprise, as you can actually hear that on the actual episode too. That I'm kind of getting it started somehow, and just asking him, okay, where are you from? Well, like I always do. And he had this long pause, you know, just like in the documentaries when he's just about to say Satan, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then he just started easing up more and more and loosening up. And I don't know, man. By the end, I think it's a 3 hour thing or something. It's a quite long conversation, and
Yeah,
it's
I
it,
remember I listened to a lot of it. I mean, and it was actually, like, really enjoyable to listen to. And that's why I was like, I gotta do a podcast with this guy because some when people listen to a podcast versus doing it, it's a whole different animal. Like, you have to keep the ball rolling. You have to,
yeah,
keep the
yeah.
conversation flowing, and, I don't know, it takes, like, a special type of person. They have to be, uh, sociable and, interesting. So,
Yeah, I suppose you asked me if the transition between being a lead singer, artist, and a podcaster. I think it's right there. I think it just comes naturally. I'm not sure. I'm quite good at promoting what I do, you know, and I don't think that's just something that comes naturally. Either though I was when I was younger and a child, I was always really held back. You know, I was shy and insecure and stuff like that. But I suppose the music and the art in itself has just given me my own personality. You know, and I'm just thriving on that now.
right. So the next really pinpoint I wanted to touch is like, you know, like being a Norwegian black metal band. You were talking about how the scene isn't large down there, and I'm kind of curious as to, from your perspective, you've probably lived there for many, many years. I've never been there. And so if I were to go to a show tomorrow, where would it be and you know, what would the like vibe be down there?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer. Actually, that depends on which city you are in. You know, and
Like
the
Oslo,
main
for example.
yeah, Oslo is the closest one to me here. You know, that's like a couple of hours by car or train. So I'm there quite often for business and everything and concerts, obviously. Um, I suppose the vibe is the same all over the world. You know, we went to Mork went over to the States a couple of years ago, and we played Psycho Las Vegas, and we played Brick by Brick in San Diego, and we played a club called Catch One in LA. And
Nice, nice.
while we were there, we were there for a whole week, you know, so we had plenty of time, and we went to a few shows and stuff, and I suppose it's the same all over the world, you know, but I suppose it's a bit strange for someone like you guys coming over here, going to one of our shows, and maybe seeing some other well-known black metal artists in the crowd and stuff. I suppose is a kind of weird thing, but they're all people, you know.
Right, right, exactly. My really the thing I wanted to go over with you is like, so obviously black metal is like super well known and popular and was a big thing back in the day. Um, did black metal bands around there, are there like a surplus of them, or like how does that work? I mean, is there a few of them that are respected, or is there a bunch? Um, yeah,
Yeah, that differs from person and fan, you know, who you're talking to. There's always this stigma between being a true cult kind of thing, you know. But after being into this for this long, I have started to see the cracks where that just is something people. It's just a facade people put on, you know, and it becomes a bit childish sometimes. But if you make great art, you know, and stick up for yourself and just do what you believe in, then you will get credibility. But that's the same in any genre, if you ask me, you know.
right, right. Um, yeah. So I mean, basically, you know, I mean, shoot off some bands that you think that maybe nobody has ever seen, maybe from like your hometown that I should check out. I always ask this. I love to check out new bands.
There's really no one from this town. Halden is basically it started in the 80s and early 90s as kind of a rock city with a lot of new wave and punk bands and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But as those people got older, most of them now are into country music. So this city is
Really?
it's very inspired by Americana, you know, American country music and roots music. That's huge in this city. And when a guy like me, like kind of the little black sheep or the little black goat, pokes his head out there, um, uh, it's fascinating though. I have never felt I'm not being looked at the wrong way. You know, people are kind of embracing that I'm different, and Mork actually gets a big pat on the back in the town here, which is awesome. You know, they think it's a fascinating art form. You know, because even though you are a Norwegian, you don't necessarily that well known with black metal. You know, but obviously you know what it is because everyone grew up with black metal being in the newspapers in the early 90s with the church stuff and the killings, you know. But we have moved on now a lot of years since then, and it's become this. It's art now. It's not just the criminal stuff, if you know what I mean. It's been
Right.
accepted as an art form, which is a great thing for me because I'm not a criminal mind in any way, you know.
Right. And that's always like a topic of discussion. Like, I was just watching a documentary the other day on how, like, basically this woman was saying, like, hey, you guys can express your feelings of like burning down churches, but why can't we say anything? And I'm like, not everybody is doing that, like, I mean, I love the music, but I mean, I don't look too deep into like the some of the bands that go real dark. Like, I'm not huge into that, but that's just me.
That's a little part of what I just mentioned earlier about taking on a facade, you know.
Yeah.
And that becomes a bit too 12, 13-year old to me, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm a grown man. I'm pushing 40, you know. So and most of the people that I know in the scene are like-minded as myself, you know. We are into this because we love the art form and the music. It touches something deep inside of me, and that is why Mork has become this really important thing to me. And to have it being successful at the same time, that's just a big plus, you know, because even if the band was unknown, I would still be doing it. You need to keep in mind that I started Mork in 2004. That is closing in on 20 years now.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the name didn't become more known to people until say 2013 and onwards, you know. So this is something that's deeply rooted inside me.
Yeah. So so you mentioned one word um that I really like to shoot at musicians. This might be a curveball from any question you've ever been asked in your whole life, but how would you define the word success? Like, what does that mean to you? And I mean, this could be, this being around the music that you play in.
To put it like that, um to be able to create something that other people picks up without your intervention, people find it without your help, you know. To
Yeah.
me, that is success. I get to spread, just to be a bit cliche, I get to spread my plague, you know, and people catch it.
Yeah.
And another thing that's big for me is that, you know, Mork is a one-man band. It's only me. It's only been me for all the years, and it's still only me when it comes to the creative part. But since 2000 and I don't know 14, 15, we have been a full assembled live act as well. You know, I
Right.
told you went to the States and stuff. So we play concerts, and a huge plus for us is that we are able to travel the world. You know, that's a gift that none of us will ever grow tired of.
Right. And you want to I think I think people kind of overlook that sometimes, because like, I mean, me as a normal human being, I would never just travel to I don't know, like in a tour you travel at 30 dates, maybe 30 states. Uh like that is a experience that only these musicians can do. And like I don't know, like that to me that's amazing. Like you
I have
can't.
to I have to be honest with you. Uh,
Okay, okay.
we have never done a full package tour like that yet. So I suppose we have been a bit spoiled. We have been flown in and out of doing one-offs and stuff like that, festivals, short runs, and that is very pretty much very comfortable, if you know what I mean.
Right.
We are actually heading out on about, I don't know, is it a 10-day tour now? Later in November, actually, we're playing Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, and we are traveling quite big distances in just a van. And this is winter's time, with
Oh boy.
slippery roads and everything. A gig every night. I suppose that will be a bit hard to swallow, but
Mhm.
we will we will throw ourselves into it and try it out. I will let you know how that works out.
It's gonna work good. We got this.
I hope so,
Um,
man.
nothing is worse than Buffalo winter. I mean, I don't know how the snow is down there, but we get like I don't know waist level snow like every day. It's obnoxious.
It's a lot up here, But since global warming took off, it's been a bit slushy.
Right, right. So let's talk about this band some more. Like I always like to dive down the rabbit hole of you know, your band has accomplished a lot, and what is something that is what's something that you've always tried to reach for? Like what is like your ultimate um you made it goal?
Um, I suppose, as every musician, hopeless romantic musician out there, is the fact to get a record deal, and
Okay.
that was the first goal. And I remember back in 2013, I was actually contacted by a Canadian label, a small label, independent one called HSP Productions, and they have heard my first album, or what was then the first official demo. I'm lying now. It's the second official demo, but they picked that up. They wanted to release it, in a CD format. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's a label. It's not a big label, but it's a label, and it's from all the way around the world.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
and then I think the couple of years after that, they released even my first vinyl. That was a huge one for me.
Yeah,
And
man. Vinyl has always been a bucket list for me. Like even a 7-inch, I don't even care, man.
yeah, this was like a full album on a 12-inch. And I need to tell you the short story. We actually, the label, great guys, by the way. I say hi to Jan and Franco if they're listening. They had us over in Canada for a tour, actually. Not a big tour. I think it was like a 6-7 day tour over there. But just before we went off in the van, I got to assemble that vinyl for myself, putting the sleeves
Oh
in the
man.
covers. That was something really special. And I remember I bringing the acetate back home as a souvenir and a momentum, and I don't know. I just love that stuff. And today I'm out on Peaceville Records. They are releasing all the vinyls and CDs, and I don't know
Peaceville's
that.
one of the best right now, man.
Yeah, people keep telling me that, and that's a good thing. I really enjoy our spot there, and we have a good daily communication. Actually, I'm speaking with the label manager almost every day, so there's a lot of plans in the making all the time.
That's good to hear, man, cuz like I not to like dump on the idea of a label, but I mean I've heard some horror stories through this podcast of like smaller labels and the bigger labels taking advantage of artists, and it sounds like they're taking care of you for sure.
Let's put it like this: before I hit up Peaceville, I was dealing with two other big labels within metal, European ones, and
Mm-hmm.
those deals were ugly, man.
Oh,
That it
oh
was like the
boy,
ones you're aiming at now, I suppose. They were
10,
heavy. Yeah,
10%, 90% or something like that.
they want people just want a cut out of everything. If you find some chump change on the sidewalk, they want some percentage, and
Yeah.
it's disgusting, to be honest with you. But Peaceville does not treat me like that, and that is why we are still working together. Released album number 5 this year, and there's, as I told you, there's plans. There will be more.
So when you were looking for a label, what were some things that you um, really were kind of looking for? I mean, other than like the physical end of it, of like getting vinyl done, like I'm talking about the internals, like you know how they work.
Uh, yeah, I haven't got much experience before I got into this, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I basically just talk to all my buddies, and that's people in the scene, in the other bands, even really well-known bands are friends of mine. So I was just asking people for advice, and most of them were aiming for Peaceville, and I'm really glad and happy that they actually took a chance on us, or on me, if I could put it like that. And that's also thanks to my good buddy Nocturnal Culto of Dark Throne. Those guys are great, and
Hell yeah.
they've been on Peaceville from the beginning, and then they were out of Peaceville for a while, and then they got back on Peaceville again because they just think they're so awesome. So I'm just happy to be in good company there.
You haven't done an episode with Fenraz, have you?
Yeah, sure. I did an episode with both of them.
What? Wait a second. When
You need to scroll through my episodes, sir.
was it? Wait, was it in the beginning?
I would say probably in the middle somewhere. I think that was late or early summertime last year, perhaps. I can't really
Wait a
remember
second.
now.
I gotta check this out.
But that's a great one. Me and Fenris were just sat down at a pub actually in Oslo, and I brought my equipment with me, and we just had beers and had a great time.
Damn, I must have totally missed. Oh, yeah, I see it. It's right here. You got it. That's awesome, man. Like he's like the spirit of metal, man. Like I gotta admit, like he just to me he just seems like just so laid back. Like the one thing I've really found in the black metal musicians I've talked to is like they're very well spoken and they're laid back. I mean, but when they have like something they want to say, they say it.
Yeah, sure.
so
I,
so
I think you're describing a Norwegian person in general right there, actually.
okay, that's awesome. I nailed it on the
Fenris,
head then.
yeah, you did. And Fenris, he's the real deal. And that's the great thing about him is that he likes what he likes, and he doesn't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah, he definitely seems like that. And like
I
another one, uh, Necro Butcher. I've talked to him. You've talked to him, and he's a personality in and of itself. Like he is like a walking Bible of metal stories, man.
Yeah, and he is precisely as you perceive him. He's real. He's just
Yeah,
being himself.
yeah. Like, yeah, I I couldn't even like count the amount of times that he was like laughing. Like, I mean, I watched a lot of interviews, like video interviews of him, like back in the day, and like I feel like him on camera is totally different than just him and you and I having a conversation with him.
I actually hung out with him a couple of weekends ago in Oslo, and we had a great fucking time, you know. And I did not know him that well from before either. Just said hi here and there. I remember that Mannheim, the first Mayhem drummer, just introduced us backstage at the Mayhem show once. But now I got to sit down with the guy, and we hit it off, you know. We exchanged numbers, and pretty soon I will head over to his house and do a podcast. Actually, that will be his first time on my thing.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I can't wait for that. Um, so what's next for the band? What do you think is the next thing that you want to shoot for?
uh in thinking of goals, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, what's the next step? I mean, what what do you want to do? Like, do you want to tour? Do you want to write an album? Do you want to I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't spill the beans too much, but there's plenty of material. There will be much more new music. I can tell you that there will be a release next year.
Okay.
There will be a release the year after, and there will be an even bigger one the year after that. So we are thinking several years ahead here,
It sounds
and
like you got a lot of material.
I do. You know,
Yeah.
as I told you, I'm an only child, and it's a one man band. So each moment I'm by myself, I am able to create. You know,
Right. Do
and
you have a do you have a riff folder like I do?
yes, for
Oh,
sure.
like where you do you like I'm assuming obviously you record at home and stuff like that, but yeah, I got a freaking crap ton. Like 500 recorded.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, yeah. It's the same thing here. And I record like snippets here and there if I got an idea, you know. And perhaps it gets forgotten in that folder, you know, or perhaps I will find it
Eventually.
sometime. Yeah, you know how it is.
um
So, and another thing, we are aiming for playing way more. We are actually planning a South American, Latin American tour. I think a couple of festivals down there has been announced already in Sao Paulo and one in Santiago, I think. And we will go over there in September next year. That will be fucking great.
Hell yeah.
If I'm allowed to swear on this, sorry about that.
Nah, you can do whatever you want.
Awesome. And there's some more festivals and shows here and there. It's not been announced yet, but we will play the biggest festival in metal world next year, and that will be awesome. We were actually on their poster a few times before in the COVID times, but
Oh god, don't
you
even
know,
remind me.
yep, it was postponed and stuff. You know.
I can't even describe how like relieved I am. I mean, next month I'm going to like 8 or 9 shows. I swear. Like I don't know about you, but not having shows for a year and a half was driving me insane.
Oh, you didn't play. You weren't able to play. We have actually been playing a lot this past year.
No, no, just attend. Like, I mean,
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
like,
even attended shows. You know, we've been playing shows and attending shows. So some of them has been COVID restriction based, and now lately it's been fully open. But I think that's over there too, right?
yeah, they just. I mean, I've went to within the last like 4 months. I've been able to go to shows like without a mask or anything, but I've been wearing it if I think I'm gonna get COVID for sure.
Yeah. How is it over there? Is it a lot of spread of the disease over there now?
So I did go to one concert. Um, I went to one concert like a 3 or 4 months ago, and I did get COVID from the
Oh wow.
concert. There was a dude next to me that had, plastic gloves on, had 3 masks on, and I just should have known that he had COVID because I was sick like a week later.
Was it bad?
Yeah, it was horrible. I was sick for a week. Basically felt like I was hungover on vodka for like a week.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I know that
Um
feeling.
yeah, it's horrible. But
You should try being hungover on Fardet Branca.
oh man, I'll have to check that out.
It's Black Death from Milan, Italy.
Oh
It's not for the weak-hearted.
yeah, then I wouldn't make the cut then.
Yeah, I think you will. Try it out, man.
Um, all right, so let's talk about. So I write at home, you write at home, and I'm kind of curious on your take of shoveling out the shoveling out the rut of writing music at home. Sometimes, at least for me, writing in front of a computer, it gets old. Like, where do you find inspiration? Um, I usually find it in the most inconvenient times ever. So, how about you?
Uh, the thing about me is that I seem to be able to drain rooms of inspiration,
Okay.
which is quite frustrating. In my previous home, I had set up a studio in a dedicated room, and I actually weren't able to create in there at all. That
Oh
room
wow.
didn't have anything for me. So I moved into like the living room or something, and then it just poured out of me. So I hope this room, the new one, the new studio here, will be kind like that. But I'm a kind of like I told you, I'm not big into technicalities, but the late couple of years, I have actually obtained myself a laptop as well as the stationary computer, and whenever each summer actually I go out on a big road trip of Norway where we just drive through the valleys and on the mountains and in the forests and stuff like that, and we I don't know, rent huts and sleep in tents and do that kind of primitive living, and I bring the laptop and a small sound card and my guitar, and that's been doing wonders too. You never know what kind of riffs comes out where.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's it's one of those things like I'll be exhausted, like ready my eyes are like, concrete, they're ready to freaking shut any minute and I'm like, I got a riff. I got it, but I don't want to do it. But it's like it's a constant internal battle with musicians, man.
Yeah, put it down on the phone, on the fucking dictaphone app or something.
So the one thing I've kind of learned what I do, I've got a list. I number every riff. So I'm on like 530. And every time I put in a number, man, I'm like, when am I going to hit, 600, 700, 800? And then I could write a record. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh man, I need to tell you. I suppose you will laugh.
nah.
When I record my riffs, I always call every single file only Mork. No number. Everything is Mork, 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 and I have no idea what is what. So if I ever sit here and I'm drained of inspiration and I decide to hit up the archive, I'll just have to scroll a lot of Morks, and let's try this one. So it's like a Russian roulette of riffs.
Dang.
But it's true. That's the truth. I never thought about numbering them or anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, at least you're recording them. My biggest mistake is when I first started playing guitar. Well, when I first started writing music, I didn't record it. So I mean, I might have had really good music, but none of it was, filed. None of it was archived. So I mean, I could have had a killer idea, and it's just gone with the wind.
Oh man, I've been archiving Mork riffs all the way since 2013, I think, or even 12. So I've been careful with that because I know how priceless something like that is. If you hit gold and you forget about it, that's a big shame.
Well, I think the best part about it is even if you hit gold and forget about it tomorrow, and you find it, right when you're going to write that record, it's worth it. Like, I mean, crap. Kirk Hammett, he said that he did the same thing, but he lost it all. Like how bad that would be. That would suck.
Yeah, that would suck. I have never been in that situation. Luckily, knock on wood. But
I've got three flash drives. Three.
oh man.
But how about you?
Oh no no no! I not that much at all. I've basically been using my phone for riffs, basically, and storing it in a folder. But it's not that big files, and they
Right.
sound really shitty. So hopefully, I will be able to pick apart what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
I'm not
Hey,
going to be I'm not going to be cocky, but I think I'm quite a good riff master. So even though if I lose a riff, I will be able to make a new one.
right. Right. Or even try to like pick up the sound at least, like the
I tried that a couple of times. It didn't really work out. Some riffs are meant to be as they are.
right. Right. Um so when did you actually start writing music? Like, I mean, what do you think like the biggest struggle of trying to write music when you're just starting out? Like, did you fall in the pitfalls of writing like Slayer riffs and not knowing it, or like Dark Throne riffs and not knowing it, or
No, I think I began my career as a songwriter in 1997 or so.
okay,
And back then I was into punk rock, like 70s punk rock, Ramones, Sex Pistols, and stuff like that.
how
Even
about how about Rancid?
yeah, not too much of that. That came a bit later, but I've never been a big fan. I think it's
Okay,
okay, but it's too much. I don't know what. It's too much
horns and
something.
whistles.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose. I'm not sure. But I got into no effects after a while. And the thing is that I really enjoy melodies. And when no effects got to clean up their sound a bit, they had a lot of melodies and several voices and stuff, which I enjoyed. But back then, I played primitive punk rock and stuff like that, and just threw myself in there. And if I listen back there, it's all shit. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know what progressions are supposed to come in what order and stuff like that. But that is still the fact today, actually. I don't know shit about music theory. I just write what feels correct, if you know what I mean. It may sound strange being
No,
an
I mean
artist.
I'm the same way.
Also, you don't know scales and stuff?
So I was given well, I took guitar lessons for about 4 or 5 years, and I mean the best thing that guitar lessons gave me was an ear. Other than that, I write music from like, you know, the inside, if I
Yeah.
feel something, that's what I'm going to write. I mean, you can only do arpeggios so many times and then you're like Yngwie Malmsteen. Like nobody, well, at least me, I don't want to do that.
That's true, but I was thinking more about, chord progressions, which chords go together and stuff. That has never been a big issue for me because I've been able to feel and hear it well when it clicks and not.
Right. Right. I mean, if you were a jazz player, maybe it would be a little bit tougher to not have you know, theory or
Yeah, I
whatever,
suppose.
but metal is kind of a weird thing because like in my opinion, the only really um member in a band that should have some type of theory knowledge is like the drummers, man. Like the drummers in a metal band kind of make or break it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's true. But it should be said that I'm not into well produced and technical metal at all.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm a pure feel kind of guy, and you know what? I have never taken a music lesson in my life.
Right.
Everything is learned by ear or by watching a VHS of all the rock and roll stuff. Sex Pistols, as I told you, Steve Jones, the guitar player there, he has meant a lot to me as being able to pick up the guitar and make out power chords and stuff. and I was big and hugely into AC/DC. That is something that will always be in the core of my soul, I suppose, as a guitar player.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what black metal has given me is that the rules can be just thrown out the window, because you can use a lot of, call it, evil tones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can just try out around the neck and see where it feels right. And I love that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of tough because I think, to be completely honest with you, man, like if you're gonna try to recreate the wheel, it's gonna be kind of hard. But if you're doing something different than other people, it's definitely a lot better than trying to, like, go from the books. Holy hell, Jimi Hendrix just went off a ear, man. He's considered one of the greatest guitar players of all time, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And I don't know. Anytime I talk about theory with people, it's just kind of it's a hard subject because I'm like, there are a lot of musicians that are not theory driven but are extremely talented, and they have a great ear.
It
So
depends where you come from, what you've been listening to, how your life has been, what your personality is like. That is what shapes what your music sounds like. So, in the first couple of albums actually that I released with Mork, I even said so in the interviews that it was kind of a tribute to the old school Dark Throne Burzum, the black metal thing. But over the years now, I have just found my own way, my own place. And so today I don't see Mork as a tribute anymore. It's what comes out of me. And I think that I sound quite original, because it's me that's doing it.
right, right, right. Yeah, and like nobody can replicate that.
But that's the great thing. That's how you can pick the bands apart. Most of them.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Most of them.
There's a lot of copycats out there.
Um, all right, Thomas. Well, let's stop this one here. I definitely want to do another one in the future because this was a
Awesome.
great conversation. But
Thank you.